This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everyone, good morning. Any doubts from previous topics? Due to few other members joined in our class, 1 week it will be like few members they can see some of the topics which they have already go through it, and few of them they don't know whether it is completed or not. So please adjust for at least 1 week, and later point of time everyone will be on same plane. If anyone see this class which we already discussed, you can ignore, and if you want you can leave also and practice any other topic which you want. But this will be continuous like 1 week. Later 1 week everyone will be on same topics. Please adjust yourself. So the transaction code to access data dictionary is S11. And in our yesterday session, we also observed how SAP has been created tables for already designed applications. We have seen a standard table, KNA1, customer master, and also we have seen sales information table. And inside the table, we observed a table has key fields, non-key fields, and data types, domains, data elements inside the table. So before going to the table creation, first of all, we should understood the main components inside the table. The main important things before going to create any table, what we have to learn is we need to know what is mean by data type, and we need to understand what is domain and data element, and we should know what is data class. We must aware of a delivery class, and we should know about size category. So these are prerequisites. We must aware of it first and before going to create any table. What is data type? What is the importance of data type? In the term itself, it is clearly saying which is given information about the type of data. Data type is nothing but which specifies what type of data we are inserting inside the table. Basically, in SAP data dictionary, we have different types of data types. SAP created ones: characters, integers, numeric characters, and DATS, dates, times, currency, currency key, and quantity, unit of measure, etc. Most probably, nearly 30 or 40 data types we have. Basically, these data types, which specifies what type of data we are inserting into a table field. Let's say I'm interested to create a custom table in the sense which is not provided by SAP as part of SAP ERP software design. There is a table, a business in the sense the software which is used by a company. Let's say Sony is using, or Tata Motors are using SAP ERP software product to run their business. During when they are using the software, they observed there are certain tables are required for, especially for Tata business, but those tables are not provided by SAP ERP. Then what they do, they'll ask ABAPer to create a table where they wanted to maintain a business related information.
Let's say they wanted to maintain an information related to customer sales. In that case, what they'll suggest to the developer, we need a table which stores customer sales information. The table must have fields, sales order ID, and then sales order created date, and then sales order created time, and sales order price information, and sales order quantity information, and returns, and sales order gross amount information. Business, they only specify what the fields and what data it's supposed to store. And as a developer, it is your responsibility to pick the right data type when you are creating a table and creating the fields. Let's say I wanted to create this sales order ID field. So business saying that we need sales order ID inside the customer sales table, and the digits, number of digits what we maintain is numbers and combination of characters, which means the example they are giving like this. So we will be creating sales orders in our Tata Motors company starting with the A, and it ends with a number. In between total, we are using 10 characters. And then as a ABAPer, you have to pick right data type from the available data types. For this requirement, this is not a number, this is not a name. It is a combination of number and characters. And also sales order IDs are not used for any calculation purpose. These are used to identify the sales information. In that case, you can choose character as the data type for sales order ID. And number of characters, how many values this particular field can accommodate, that is decided by the length. So whenever you got a requirement, first you need to know what fields this table carry, and the field, what kind of data it is holding, and what is the length, maximum length permitted for that particular field. The type of data which is specified by the data type. Data type is responsible for a table field, what type of data it is going to be handled inside the table. Let's say if it is date related, then what type of data you need to choose, which is DATS, because date will be stored in a manner like this, which is a different type of information. Sales order ID information is a different type of information. So in that case, you need to choose data type of DATS. Based on the field values, you need to identify what type of data which is suitable, and then you need to choose the respective data type. For sales order price, you need to choose currency. For quantity, you need to choose quantity data type. For gross, you can choose numeric character, or you can choose integer. The technical information will not be provided by either functional or business people. Requirements always you are getting from the business or from the functional. As a ABAPer, you will always get the requirements from the business side sales managers or from the functional who is working along with you in the project. First, they will identify the gaps, and to fulfill that gaps, they are coming with the requirements. So here the gap is Tata was found. There is a no table which stores customer sales information. For that, they were asking you as a ABAPer to create a table to store sales information inside the table. When you got a requirement, first thing is you need to identify what are the fields business wanted to maintain information, and then note down what type of data types and what is the length which allocated for that particular field. And after that, go and create the domain. So first thing, table identification, fields, and next activity, data types identification, what data types suitable for the fields. And third action is, now you need to create a domain. What is domain? Domain carries technical properties of a field. Data type and length combination will be used inside a domain creation. So domain is nothing but which carries technical properties of a field. Why can't we assign directly? We know what is the data type it is required, how much length it be required. So we are aware of it. Why can't we go directly and use the data type and length? Why we are going to domain? Inside the domain, we are choosing data type and length is because of the reusability concept. Whenever in any other tables, as a business support, you are the support consultant, you may have in future also different kinds of requirements. So whenever you got a requirement for the table field, need to assign data type and length. It is not recommended to assign value directly. It is always recommended to use domain concept. Domain carries data type and length information. Once you create a domain with that data type and length, in next time any table with the same data type and length is required, you can directly use the domain. As a reusability concept, to handle effectively objects created, we have a concept of domains. Domain is nothing but which carries technical properties of a field. Here my field is sales order ID. What is the technical property of sales order ID is, technical property of sales order ID is character 10. Character is nothing but data type, 10 is nothing but length. So technical property of a field is data type and length. That's technical property is carried by domain. That is the meaning of domain. Next, what is data element? Data element is nothing but which carries semantic properties. Yesterday I have shown you in the standard table, we have field label and documentation. So data elements are required to capture field labels and documentation information, which is required to show proper information to the employee, Tata Motors employee, which is nothing but end user. We say end user. End user is nothing but the one who is working with business. Because Tata Motors employees are in different countries. If you are in US, if you are working from China, if you are working from Germany, and they were using these tables across all the countries. So it is our responsibility to provide always a proper description. Technical names will not be understandable by business employees. These fields are only for ABAPR purpose and to maintain information inside the table. But actually, business side people, they will come to know the field names, information about the field through field label and documentation. For that reason, we have to use data element. Data element will be captured semantic properties of a field. Semantic properties are helpful for the end user to pass proper information across every different location peoples. They can access and see information clearly. And data class, delivery class, size category, which are a mandatory steps inside the table. Whenever you create any table, inside the table creation, these are the options will be required by the table. It is must and should, you need to provide these options, you need to enable and add values, then only table creation will accept. Otherwise it won't allow you to create the any table. What is data class is, data class, most of the information which is there inside the name itself, which specifies what category of data you are inserting into the database. Data class decide what type of data you are inserting into the database. For a example, you can compare with a real-time scenario like a library. If you observe a library where you will be seen different set of racks. ECE books are kept in one rack, CSE books are kept in another rack. As a person, when you go and see, there are multiple books which are there in ECE. So as your assumption is, all these books are belongs to ECE related. If someone, a student, if he place a book in ECE rack, your observation is that book is belongs to ECE department. In the same manner, whenever you are inserting tables, this table, whatever you created, which has to be stored inside the database. Whenever you are creating table inside a database, in database also we have different racks. Those are master data rack, transaction data rack. Like this, we have multiple racks. What kind of data you are inserting in database? You need to specify what type of data it is. Sales is a transaction data. Basically, we have different types of data classes, classification of data. We have master data and we do have transaction data. And we do have system data. We do have customer data. Like this, we do have different data. You can compare this as an example of ECE department data, Triple E, and CSE. Master data means the data which is not going to change frequently, which is a master data. What data is master data? Let's assume this customer sales only. Whenever any customer interacted with company to purchase a product, a customer name, customer phone number, or customer ID, which is master data, because a customer ID or phone number or name, which is not going to be changed frequently. But the same customer, he can do business with the company multiple times. He can place multiple sales orders. Sometimes he will order a product from Tata Motors, a car on January month, and later in February he can go and place few more orders with the Tata Motors. Here, the customer information not going to change frequently, but the orders what he was placing with the company, which are going to change in different dates, he was placing different orders. Then in that case, the data of customer we say is a master data, because this data is created once and there is no change frequently. But the sales information, what customer is placing, which is getting changed, which means it is keep on adding to that customer. Customer is keep on placing an orders. Multiple orders will be placed by single customer. So in that case, sales information, sales orders we say is a transaction data, and customer information, which is we say is a master data. So in a simple manner, the data which is not going to change frequently, which is called master data. Data which is changing frequently, which is called sales data. That is what the major difference. And system data, SAP have been created tables where system information they have captured. The tables which are capturing the system information, those are called system tables. Now the question is, whenever you are creating a table, what type of data you are inserting inside this table, whether you are inserting master data or transaction data or system information. You need to choose a relevant classification so that your table will go and set in the database under the particular category, master data category. Here, customer sales comes under transaction data. Whenever you are creating a table, data class you need to choose as transaction data. Now delivery class. Delivery class, the term itself says while it is helpful for the basis consultant when they are moving data from one server to another server. We have different servers which are presentation data development server, quality server, and production server. Development server where ABAPers work to develop the objects. Let's say Tata Motors are asking to create a table, then developer will work here. ABAPer, he will work in the development server and he'll create the table. Once the table was created, this table where Tata Motor employee is going to use, which is in production server. The table what ABAPer created, which has to be moved to production server, where employees can use your object. How this object will be moved from your development to production. In the development you have created, but this has to be go from quality, and from quality it has to go production. So development where developments will happen, quality where testing will happen. Who will do the testing? Tata employee who requested you to create this table, he will do the testing. He will go to the table, he will maintain few information, he will observe the table is properly maintained or not. And once he agree, approved, next action is basis consultant. A basis consultant, he will move your object from the development box to quality and the quality to production environment. How a basis consultant, he can move your object from one server to another server is whenever you created an object, this object will be linked to a transport request. There is a object related transport mechanism. I'll explain you later. So only one thing you need to remember is what is this delivery class is. Delivery class is responsible to move your objects from one server to another server. And to move these objects from one server to another server, basis consultant, they need a delivery class. Based on the delivery class, your object will be moved from one server to another server. Now size category. What is this size category is? Size category which decides how many entries your table can accommodate. You are creating a table to store sales information. Then you need to specify how many tables this table can accommodate so that memory will be allocated. While creating the table, you need to specify size category. Size categories are there from 0 to 10. Based on the value you enter, number of records and memory will be allocated to your table creation. To create the table, you must be aware of these things before going to the table creation. Let me jump into system and show you the same data type domains, data elements inside the standard table as well. SE11 transaction for data dictionary. I am opening a table called VBAK. VBAK is the table where sales information will be stored. And if you observe this, this is a table where it stores sales orders information, and sales orders information will be captured from a transaction VA01. VA01 end user means Tata employee. He will enter information and that information will be stored inside this table. And if you observe here in the T code, there are different sections like this section where you can see sold to party, shipped to party, and sales item overview, item detail. This is called header section. Okay, so this will be the header section, and below item information is there. This is called item section. Any transaction which has two areas, header and item. Header section contains master data, item section contains transaction data. Now VBAK, which is a table which stores sales orders information. And if you go inside this delivery and maintenance, you can see delivery class as A. Delivery class means the term itself have delivery. While moving your data object means table created from development to quality, quality to production, basis consultant, they can transport your table based on the delivery class. The delivery class says it is an application table. Why it is an application table? Because the data which is going to be stored inside this table through an application. The application is VA01. VA01 is a sales order creation application. That's where your table was chosen as application table because you maintain information into this table through VA01 application. Now, and you can see this application table stores master and transaction data. And we do have multiple different delivery classes. We do have a customizing, we do have a temporary data and controlled system table, SAP modification. So different data class delivery classes will be there. Most of the times as a ABAPer, you will be getting requirements only to create application related tables. Majority of the cases you are going to use the delivery class as A. And customizing tables, when do you maintain a customization? At that moment, we are going to use customizing table, but ABAPer mostly they will create 100. If you consider 100%, 80% are the requirements you are getting only to create application related tables. Delivery class responsible to send tables from one server to another server by the basis consultant with the help of your delivery class. We will be also using, when we are going to create any table, we will be also using delivery class as A. And display maintenance allowed. So display maintenance, the term itself says whether your table should allow data to be maintained or not. When you are creating, we will be choosing maintenance allowed because we are creating table to maintain data. But this is a standard table. Standard tables are not allowed to maintain data directly because they are intended to allow data through the transactions. That's where we have display maintenance with restrictions. And if you go to the technical settings, where we have data class and size category. Data class specifies what category of data you are inserting into the database, like the rack. This is APPL0, you can consider as a EC rack, CSE rack, triple E rack, which means you are creating this table and you are placing this table inside APPL1 category, which means the table belongs to a category of transaction data. If your table is master data related, then you need to choose APPL0. When you are creating master data, you have to choose APPL0. When you are creating a table to store transaction data, you need to choose APPL1. Likewise, if it is organization data, you need to choose APPL2, and facts related ODS, BW related tables, these are. Mostly, as a ABAPer, we will be creating either master data or transaction data. Whenever you got a requirement to create a table, either you have to choose APPL0 if it is master data, or if it is a transaction data, you need to choose APPL1. And size category. Size category, we have from 0 to 10, we will be having based on the size what you are given, that many records will be stored inside the table. Whenever we create any table, we will start with 0, and based on the size of your table, like if you are going to create more number of entries, then you need to choose a right category size of the table. If you are giving 0 and let's say 270 entries your table can accommodate, for that you have chosen 0. Then next 271 entry of business is going to insert into this table. And then what will happen? Automatically size category will be taken by the system. Immediate next size category. So you no need to worry, okay, saying that I have given 0, my table can accommodate only 270. After that, if anybody enters any value, table is going to a dump. It is not like that. Automatically system will take next size category if it reaches maximum number of entries. And we do also have fields. Always it is started with MANDT field. MANDT field has a logic. Why always MANDT we need to insert inside a table? So I'll explain you what is this MANDT. Our SAP ERP architecture is a server client user based architecture, which means we have a server. So the server is SAP ERP and we have clients. Client right now what we see is 800, and not only we have a single client, we do have multiple clients on one single server. 805 is there and 810 will also be there. Let's say this is development server. Like this we have a quality server and production server. So quality server responsible for the validation of the developments, and production server where real-time business, live business is going on. All your objects are accessed, used by the business people. Now, if you observe the development server has multiple clients and each client have different users. So user 1, user 2 will be created under single client. My user ID is created for client 800. This is my user ID. As for you, they can create a different user ID. Okay. Now I got a requirement from the business. They are asking me to create a table. I just logged into server SAP ERP and I went into 800 with my user credentials. I have created a table GCust sales. After that, I have maintained my table fields with the sales order ID and sales order date, so and so information. So sales order ID is A001 and date is August 10th, and also 80022, which is on August 12th. Let's say I have created few records as well. I got a requirement from the business. As a developer, I need to do the development in the development server only. I have created my table. This table created with the two fields. I have maintained data as part of the development testing. Now, this is completed. Let's say if my table was created only with these fields, then what will happen? The table with the fields and the data will be available in 805 client and 810 client. Generally, why we do have multiple clients is basis teams, they will design server clients in a way like you in the development server, you are going to do a development and your development will be tested by functional. For that reason, for differentiation, for ABAPer, they will create a user and password in client 800 to develop the application for ABAPer. And to test this application by the functional SAP SD guy or any business user, they will create user ID and password in client 805, so that developer will only do the development here, and functional guy, he will do the testing in 805, the object which you developed. In that cases, what will happen is you no need to maintain any data here. Even though if you have maintained, then what will happen, client 800 will be allocated with some memory. Memory will be consumption. Memory will be consumed, occupied by the table, because you are adding data. Let's say 10 kb, which is allocated to store a table with the data, and the same 10 kb will be allocated for client 805 and client 810. Now what is happening, really data is not required here, but even though you maintain, because of the data maintenance, what will happen, other systems also have the same data. If, for example, you have not maintained but given this to testing, during the testing they have maintained, again what will happen, the same data will be copied to 80 client if your table have only sales order id and sales order created date. Whether you are really need this data in 800 client, no, you are not doing any testing, it is doing testing by the functional guy. To test, he was adding data inside the table. Then what is happening, unnecessary, so there is a one more client which is a disaster recovery client. Sometimes what will happen, there are some floods like that will happen in real time scenarios. During that time, if servers are located in different locations, that development server is in New Jersey, there is a flood occurred in New Jersey, the connection is lost, but business will not stop, right? For that, they will be connecting with a different server in a different location. This is called disaster server. Even this disaster server also allocated with your table and data. Unnecessarily, memory is getting consumed. For this reason, what they have decided, use MANDT field inside the table. When you use MANDT, what will happen is, this field you are not going to fill automatically. It will be filled by the system with current client information. Let's say ABAPer is maintaining information in this table, then the data will be stored like this. Then what will happen? A system automatic conversion, when it is trying, it will only capture structure, and for the data, it is not possible. Why? Because here the client name is 805, but the data is 800. There is a clash. That's where when you use MANDT, data will not be copied into other server, then memory consumption will be less. When the memory consumption is less, then system performance will be good. Overall development server performance will be good. So this is the reason, for the MANDT field, every table definitely they will be maintained with MANDT inside the table. If you go to any table inside SAP, you can see a table which started with MANDT. The reason behind this is because of a server. So I was logged into ABAP server. In real time, what will happen is, I'll change these names. This is development server, and this is quality server, and this one production server. In real-time practice, when you open GUI, you will be having development, quality, production servers. When you got a requirement to develop something, you need to log into development server. And then you need to choose which client, 800 for development. Then you need to enter your user ID and password. If you wanted to test, the functional needs to test, then he will change the client name from 80 to 805, and he will log in inside the client. So 805, 810 or 800, all these are under one server. That's the reason for better utilization of memory allocated and for the better performance, it is always recommended to use MEDT field inside the table. Okay, so we will have one requirement to fulfill our requirement. We will continue and learn the remaining data object. Our requirement is to create customer master table to store customer data. Who will be giving the requirements? Requirements will be given by Tata employees. Tata employees in the sense he may be a sales manager or he may be a sales executive where they are working using the SAP software and they find there is a gap. SAP standard SAP ERP applications. Applications means either T code or a table which is not uh, sufficient for their business operation. And in that case, either sales manager, sales executives, they will be had a conversation with either directly with the ABAPer or they'll have a conversation with the functional guy and explaining this is what our situation. We need a table that stores customer information. Then when you got the requirement from the business, then you need to ask them like what is the table name you wanted to specify. Then they'll say like you can create a table G data customer master. This is our table name. And inside the table name, they'll be saying that we need a customer ID, a field, and we need a customer name field, and we also need a customer created data. And then they'll say, okay, customer ID length is 10 characters and name is 30 characters and customer date may be, this is default. So in any country, date will be 8 characters only. And after that, they'll say customer ID is key field and remaining are non-key fields. Once you got the requirement with the table and the fields and the length, the next action is you need to create a domain and a data element. After that, you need to create a table. First, identify how many domains required, data elements required. After that, create first domain data element, finally go and create the table. So in this case, I need a domain 1 for customer ID. Domain 1 for customer ID field. And also data element 1 for customer ID field. Or else you can say one domain and one data element for customer ID field. And same thing, second domain and data element for customer name, and third domain and data element for customer date. First note down what are the domains you need to create, data elements you need to create. First create them and then finally go and create a table. Now we will see how do we create a domain and data element for customer ID, and then I'll allow you to create a domain and data element for customer name and date. Tomorrow we will see how to use these three inside our table creation. So quickly I will show you how to create a domain and data element for customer ID. Now go to your system, execute transaction S11. Now here choose radio button as domain, specify domain name starting with Z. There is a naming convention you have to follow. When you are creating, you have to use either Z or Y because remaining letters A to X letters which are used by SAP. If you wanted to create a domain with starting with C, customer domain ID, system will not allow you because the naming conventions of letters from A to X which are used by SAP for their developments. We need to use either Z or Y to create. So I am going to create a domain. That's where I am giving a name which started with Z and then use any identification like to remember next time whatever it is created. So I am using my login is user, right? So I am going to create with gu and then domain for customer ID. In this way, I'm going to create it. So next time, if I wanted to know the domains, whatever I created, I can use this ZU star and then I can search for that domain so that I'll know what are the domains I have created. ZU underscore, this is a domain for customer ID and then click on create. So this is domain for customer ID. Specify meaningful short description and here you need to choose the data type. Customer ID which is of length 10 and they will be maintained with either characters or numbers. I'm going to use character and length is 10. Now save as local object. I'll tell you why it has to be local object later. Now you remember, enter this domain name, mandatory information. This is mandatory information, short description, and then specify data type length. After that, save, check, activate. Once you completed this action, then only your object domain is created inside the database. The status must be active. Domain is one of the repository object of data dictionary. So in this way, you can create your domain. Once you created, note down in a Excel or any notepad to create the data element. This is domain you just created now. Now go and create a domain data element. To create the data element, you need to select radio button data type and start with Z, U, and this is data element for customer ID and click on create. Now choose data element and continue. Specify short description, data element for customer ID. Now you need to enter your domain, whatever you created, and click on enter. And observe the data type and length coming inside here. Now save it as local object. Click on continue. Go and maintain field label. Specify length. Specify description, customer ID. Now save, check, activate. Now you have created data element as well. Note down the data element inside your Excel. In this way, go and create data element domain for other fields as well. For customer name, customer date. Once you are completed creating the domain and data element for customer name and date, tomorrow what we will see, what we will observe, we will see how do we create a table with the fields, whatever we created so far, the domain and data element. So far, any doubts today?
See you tomorrow. Bye.